रामाय रामभद्राय रामचंद्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः. Ayodhya Kand, chapter number 39, the ideal wife. Recitation begins now. So spake Rama in pitiful and suppliant accents, as he stood before all in his humble hermit garb. His sire and the royal ladies were convulsed with woe and could scarcely keep their senses. Burning tears shut his eyes to the bright presence of Rama, while heavy grief choked his utterance. For a while he sat senseless and still, a prey to despair. Then memory came back to him, and with it his incoherent ravings about the child of his heart. Alas, woe is me! A dreadful sinner I should have been in my past births, and torn apart countless cows from their forlorn calves. Or maybe I tortured innocent and defenseless creatures with fiendish cruelty. Else this unparalleled misfortune would not have befallen me. The hour of my deliverance from this body strikes not a moment before its time. It should exhaust the karma for which it was intended. Ah! Sweeter by far is death and welcome than this cruel and pitiless torture, never ceasing at the hands of Kaikeyi. But the life breaths quit not the body the sooner for me or for any other helpless victim of misery. I live to see with these aged eyes of mine my beloved darling Rama, refulgent as smokeless flame, put away his robes of state and swathe his shapely limbs in the rude dress of bark that hermits affect. Yet death does not affect me. It is to me a wonderful mystery that a weak woman would be so dead set upon securing her interests, and millions upon millions should, in consequence, writhe in the pitiless grip of sorrow of misery. Blinded with tears, speechless with woe, he but cried out, "Rama!" and fainted away. All too soon he came back out of it and took up the burden of his woe. Said he to Sumantra amidst a torrent of tears, "Bring me here in a moment the royal chariot yoked with noble coursers. Take away from this God-forsaken city and its hapless people Rama, the genius of its good fortune and glory, on his fateful journey to the southern forests. Of saintly life in holy ways as a Maharishi, mighty and valiant, Rama is driven away from the kingdom that is his by right, all mercilessly by the parents that brought him into the world. And it is but the most natural inference from it that the graces of head and heart do but engender such bitter grief and misery. It goes without saying that it is but honest endeavor thrown away to desire to possess excellent qualities and toil mightily to acquire them." Meanwhile, Sumantra had ready at the palace gates the royal chariot with fleet coursers to draw it, and said, "Lord, everything is ready towards your journey to the woods." Then Dasaratha called in haste the officer in charge of his treasury and said, "Count well and carefully the years that fair Sita has to spend in the forest, and bring me here costly robes and priceless gems for her use the while." The official was extremely conversant with time and place. His name was a guarantee of utter purity of thought and deed. There was nothing he knew not about the royal treasury, the countless articles in it, rare and priceless, and their excellences and defects. So he obeyed his master's behests and placed before him the things ordered for. Unlike others of her sex, Sita was not born of mortal parents. She was the model of symmetry, loveliness, and grace, even as the Vedas would have it. Her surpassing beauty was enhanced 1,000-fold when she decked herself with the robes and gems presented to her by her fond father-in-law, and she threw over the vast hall a glory that rivaled the rising sun in all its splendor. Then Queen Kaushalya cast loving arms around her, pressed lingering kisses on her head, and said, "Child, you have set your foot on the path of the highest dharma, It is the nature of the ordinary run of women down here in this faithless world to receive all indifferently, even as if it was their due, the love, the respect, and the riches that the husband bestows upon them with lavish hand in the height of his wealth and power. But when the dark misfortune falls upon him and adversity, when he can no longer serve as a tool and instrument of their whims and fancies, they clean forget him and all he did for them. There is no saying how far they will go in the way of slighting and insulting him. Years of splendid luxury and happiness count for nothing against some trifling discomfort or disappointment, and it is quite natural for the bad lot to rail and fume at their husbands and avoid them like a plague. For the matter of that, young women are prone to be light of speech, fickle, unfathomable of purpose, eager to taste of sinful and forbidden pleasures, and flash with lightning rapidity from frenzied love to deathless hate. There are no models to follow, no ideals to reach. Fair lineage, knowledge profound, holy rites with the fire god to witness, dresses and ornaments till they cry no more. Favor conferred or peril warded off. Not one of these, nor all, can bind in silken bonds of love the light, inconstant heart of such a one. Gold is their god, and to him they are wedded forever. Frail and fickle by nature, it comes to them easy to work evil and woe upon their husbands, and lay down their hearts, their lives, and their all at the feet of their faithless lovers. But to the good and the true, to those models of wifely devotion and love, the countless myriads of worlds hold nothing holy and good that vies with beloved husband. Their feet never stray from the path of dharma. They are ever faithful to the traditions of their race and line. Good and great men have guided their feet on the path of virtue. Desire and hate are strangers to their heart. Now, Rama, my boy, had, till now, shown in the forefront of humanity and has been put away from the realm by the mysterious hand of fate. That, I hope, is no reason for you to slight him. Prince or pauper, I would have you hold him as your lord, as your god. Sita bent herself towards the queen with folded palms of reverence, and to her who sought so earnestly and so kindly to teach her duty and virtue, she rendered meet reply. Mother, it shall be my care to do as ye enjoin, forgetting not. I have been instructed right well in the duty, the love, the respect I should render my lord and husband. My parents have taken care of it even when I was a little girl. I pray you not include me among the faithless multitude. The moon shall sooner lose its sight and splendor than my heart cease to cleave to the traditions of good wives and faithful. The stringless veena gives forth no melody, and the wheelless chariot serves not a man in his need. 100 sons, 1,000, are but a curse and a burden to a wife if she takes not her place by the side of her lord and husband. Father, mother, and sons do give us happiness only in this mortal world. That is of no great account, but no other than the husband can secure the happiness here and hereafter. What more natural for a wife than to reverence him? My soul is firmly bent on treading the path of good wives and faithful. Ideal women like my mother have explained to me in general and in detail the noble duty. So I pray you not to pain my ears with any mention of a wife failing in the least in the reverence due to her husband. I would never even dream of it. A woman knows no other God than her husband. Kaushalya was charmed to hear such loyalty and devotion from Sita's lips. She was tossed amidst the conflicting emotions of unspeakable grief at the thought of her darling boy lost to her for 14 years, immured in the dreary forest, and unspeakable joy at the thought of her unparalleled good fortune in being blessed with a daughter-in-law so virtuous and so loyal to her husband. Her words charmed the ear and were in consonance with dharma. They betrayed no mean intellect, no ordinary soul. Hence the rival emotions united to engender a ceaseless torrent of tears from Kaushalya. Then Rama went around his saintly mother, laid his head at her feet, and said, Mother, grieve not. I look to you to safeguard the life and happiness of my father. The 14 years of my stay in the woods shall pass away as lightly as 14 seconds, and you will remember it only as faintly as the light dreams of a healthy sleeper. I will fulfill the promise of His Majesty to Kaikeyi and her heart's inclinations also, and hope to lay my head at your feet again in the company of my friends and well-wishers. He next turned to the 350 wives of Dasaratha, whose hearts were wrung with the grief that overwhelmed Kaushalya, and said, Ladies, I do but follow the eternal dharma in craving your leave to depart to the forest. I am but a boy and with all his feelings. I have received from you, ever since I came into this world, the same love and care that is due to the child of your loins. Long familiarity and the ignorance of childhood and youth ought not to excuse in me the dereliction of duty. I pray you pardon me if I have offended you in the least, or failed in my respect or reverence to any one of you. My heart knows not peace till I receive the assurance of your forgiveness. Have I your leave to depart to the forest? His lowly hermit garb and mean plight were too much for Dasharatha's wives to bear, and they wailed long and hard, even as croncha birds wounded grievously. The halls that till then gave back the sweet and auspicious sounds of drum and veena and guitar were now filled with groans and cries, wails and laments, and other sounds of woe and ill-omened grief. Mangalam Kaushalendraya Mahaniya Gunabde Chakravarti Dhanurjaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam.